Welcome to the She Wins podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, and today I have a very special guest. I have the Shilah Phillips. Shilah was one of my very first clients ever, which is so cool. And that would have been 2005 when you won Miss Frisco.
Yes.
And then you went to Miss Texas in 2000. You won Miss Texas 2006 on your very first try. And we worked together. So it sounds, oh gosh, is it really almost 19 years ago?
Don't say it out loud.
How is that right? That can't be right.
Heather,
you look the same. No, we haven't aged at all. We're exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
I mean, maybe not mentally. I think we've grown.
We have grown so much mentally.
But we look identical. You actually do. You look very much
and you
the same.
do. I am like, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
So Heather, when I was first starting out, I was in a dark place in my life. And I was at that age, it happens sometimes in your early 20s, where you are looking for something. Mm-hmm. And I know that I've told you this before, but you have been one of the most inspirational people in my life to give me the tools that I need to do better. Mm. And I know that I've told you this, but I think your audience needs to hear this. I was searching for something. I had done so much. Heather, I actually had my first record deal when I was 16 years old. It was an international record deal. And then I moved to Los Angeles when I was just 18. And I had been working in the industry. I was so professional. I was so used to working. And I had an excellent manager, but we decided in the end that I should go back to Texas, maybe think about going to school and working on myself, maturing a little bit and developing more of my own personal style. Oh. But when that happened, I was really sad. I didn't know where to go, what to do. I felt kind of lost. Mm-hmm. And during that time, I'd also gotten kicked off American Idol.
Yeah, I remember.
And I didn't want to tell anyone. So I was feeling really bad. But I prayed so hard for God to send me guidance and to help me. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, the prayers answers may not come when you want them to, but I am here to tell you that God is always on time. Mm-hmm. Because I poured my soul out. I did not know where I was going. I was lost. Mm-hmm. And then I met you, and I met your family. Mm-hmm. And the mental management system, it totally changed my life because that was something that I was missing. I was missing that mental management to help regulate my emotions and implement a plan into being successful. That's exactly what I was needing. And I was needing to mature because it takes a while for young men and women to mature. It's difficult. It's tough, especially now. It's so hard. But we need mentors in our life that can reach out to us and help us, meet us where we are, and take us to the next level. Now, I'll tell you, it wasn't easy. You didn't just say, oh, Shilah, you didn't just pat me on the back. You said, if you want this changed. And I remember being in your office and breaking down and crying. And you said, you can implement these tools. We're giving you these tools. Mm-hmm. And you can implement this and it can change your life. Heather, I put everything that I had into what you were telling me and in my faith in God because I knew it was a godsend. And I took you absolutely seriously. When I just think about the story of the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Freedom Flight.
I
remember. Oh my gosh. Okay. So can I tell this?
Yes.
I remember because we had done a group session. It was, and I just interviewed Jan Mitchell the other day, and we kind of talked about you and how great you are. But Jan and her whole team and all the girls were there, and Dad shared Freedom Flight with y'all.
Yes.
And when you walk, one of the things that he says when he shares Freedom Flight is, I don't know who I'm supposed to share this with, but hopefully, because he's sharing Jack's story, right?
Yes.
And as you were walking out, you looked at my dad and you said, I just want to thank you, Mr. Lanny, because I'm the person you're supposed to share that with. And it was like immediate. You knew that you needed what he said.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember what specifically he said that you received that day, but that story, and there's copies of Freedom Flight on my website that people can buy, or even on the Patreon channel, they have access to it. But it's a remarkable story.
An amazing story. I was talking to him in the end, and I was filled with tears. Mm-hmm. You were the most emotional one in the room. Yeah. I was definitely. But Heather, when I think back on it, it makes me so emotional even now. it really changed my life. It set my life on a new course. At my lowest point, which I told you, I was living in my car with no money, and then I had a car accident. I mean, I felt like Job. I was hitting rock bottom. I was at the bottom. And I thought, well, at least there's no place to go but up from here. But that's a surprising story to know that someone came from such low circumstances. But not only did I come from something that low, I was feeling really low, but I wanted to change. I realized the thing about making your life better is that you have to want to change. You have to want to change and be willing to try to find the tools and resources to do it. So I was so blessed because, God brought you into my life and your parents, and you guys absolutely changed because I didn't know the way to think about success, how to be successful. You can take these tools. You need to change the way you think about success. This is something you can practice. You said you could practice this every day and everything you taught me. And it was new news to me. I hadn't heard these things before. And so I just soaked it up. And I said, I'm going to change. I'm going to be better. And you guys were so sweet. You were so accommodating, and you helped me.
You utilized everything. You did the directive affirmation. And I remember you telling me at Miss Texas that you took your directive affirmation, like that was the last thing that you packed. You packed up your whole place.
Yes.
You said, okay, this is how confident Shilah was she was going to win Miss Texas. She says, I packed up my apartment because if you win, you get a whole new place to stay. And I didn't want to have to mess with that when I got home. Is that true? You packed up your whole apartment?
I packed up my whole apartment. It wasn't much. It was literally 10 boxes.
But still. But
I did.
And then you told me at Miss Texas, you said, Miss Heather, I have to win. And I said, no, we don't have to win. I don't want you putting pressure on yourself, whatever. You go, no, man, I just found out Miss Texas gets a car and my car doesn't work. And I need a new one. And I don't have a way to pay for college. And I get a college scholarship. I just have to. It's going to happen. But you said the last thing that you packed was your directive affirmation you took off of the window or your mirror and brought it with you.
I did. And I put it on the mirror in my hotel room.
And so a directive affirmation, for those who are listening, are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. In the book With Winning in Mind, there are 2 chapters that are dedicated to directive affirmations. And an interview I did with Mallory Fuller, because Mallory also used the directive affirmation several times, even during her year of service, not just in preparation.
Yes.
And it's a paragraph of the person you want to become.
Yes.
And Shilah, I don't remember what you wrote it about. It's been a minute, but I remember you were dedicated. You said, I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to do all the things. You just tell me what to do. I'm going to do all of it. And you're such a bright student and a willing student. Not everybody is willing to put so much energy in. And so, and honestly, you spoiled me because you were my first, you and Morgan and Aaron and Heather were my first clients ever.
Wow.
And so you spoiled me because then I thought, well, everybody's going to be like Shilah Phillips. Y'all, that's not the case. It's not the case. But tell me, okay, so let's fast forward to now, because obviously you were Miss Texas, first runner-up to Miss America, did amazing. I also remember you calling me the day after Miss America to thank me, which was really sweet. You called me the day after, and you're like, thank you so much for pouring into me. And I remember, and you can tell me if you need me to cut this part, because I can, but you said, I said, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You were first runner-up. That's amazing. I said, are you proud of yourself? You said, no, I'm really pissed. I'm upset because it was the first time I'd ever imagined not being Miss America.
Yeah.
Was the moment that I was announced first runner-up. Yes. And I felt that. And I thought you were going to win because I couldn't go to Miss America that year. I was watching from home. And when you were and Lauren were like right next to, holding hands, I was like, I looked at my husband and I go, oh my gosh, she did it. And then, God decided something else for you. But it was really sweet because you were just like, that was the first time I ever imagined not winning.
Yes.
Was when I didn't win. And I think that was probably a big letdown. But then at the same time, that was a lot of scholarship money.
In the end, it was enough scholarship money to finish my degree at University of North Texas in jazz studies, which is a really prestigious, it's actually the most prestigious jazz program in the world.
So cool.
That's why and obviously it's just right up the street from me.
Yeah.
So and I remember telling you that was when I was starting off, that was my goal. So I did achieve the goal. I achieved the goal that I needed, which was to complete my education. And the fact that there is a program for women where you can compete like an athlete in these different categories and get scholarship money is truly amazing. I was so impressed and stunned that this was even possible. Mm-hmm. And I wished I would have been able to compete more. I wish it was something I'd been doing.
And it was your only opportunity because you were aging out that year too. And I think that's something that people need to understand. So one of the reasons I think you soaked up everything is you're like, yes, I want it. I desire to have it. I want it, but I also only have one shot. And a lot of people were saying, there was a lot of like, rumor mill, well, you can't win on your first try. You were also the first Black woman to ever win the title and hold the title of Miss Texas. So there was a lot of rumors like, can you win or whatever. And I don't think you listened to any of that nonsense.
You know, being new at pageantry, a lot of people asked me, like, how did it feel to be the first African-American descent Miss Texas? Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I'm multiracial. I don't know if people know that about me. Multi, that means more than two. Yeah. So...
Well, so tell everybody.
Okay, so I from my father's side, I actually do have pure African blood. From my descendants come directly from Liberia, which is in West Africa, and my stepdad is from the country of Sierra Leone. So I grew up with that strong African culture with me. But I'm also mixed with a lot of Northern European, Italian. A little bit of Middle Eastern heritage, and a lot of Native American.
Oh, very cool.
That's really my predominant thing. So, yes.
Well, that's why you're so stunning, because you're just a mixture of all of the things that are amazing in this world.
Well, they were very sweet. So I was thinking to myself, I grew up, Heather, thinking, well, I'm a natural redhead. And I grew up, I was still a redhead at the pageant. But I always was different. Like, I was only redhead of my siblings. So people would actually come touch me on the head and say, did you fall in the prom? Because I didn't even know what that meant. I was a child, and then they would say, the redhead. So I felt like very self-conscious. And I knew I was different. And I knew that there was something about me that stood out. And I didn't think that at the time when I was growing up, it wasn't something that was necessarily accepted or thought of as wonderful. So I didn't have an extremely high self-esteem as far as the way that I looked, because I looked different. I didn't look like my mother, and I didn't really look like my father, and I was so redhead, I didn't look like my siblings. So I felt different, and I think that's why I gravitated towards music and stage and theater and things like that, because that's where the different people went.
Well, and different's beautiful.
Different can be beautiful, and I realized that the beauty comes from the inside of you. And that is really something that you helped me see, because that was what I couldn't see about myself. I couldn't see the actual value, why I was valuable.
So would you say that even when you competed, you were struggling with self-worth?
I definitely was struggling with self-worth, because I knew so many girls had competed so many times, and they were a kind of beautiful that was, what we're just used to seeing. And they were beautiful, beautiful girls. I mean, the previous winner, who was as sweet as she could be, was Morgan Matlock. She is absolutely gorgeous. I just saw her the other day. Yeah. She looks like a human Barbie doll. And I just noticed her right away out of a huge crowd. I said, Miss Texas. She just has that wonderful, she's absolutely gorgeous. I believe all women are gorgeous. But, I thought, I'm not like her. She is perfect. I'm not like her. And I knew she was also really talented and a really sweet person. And so when I started talking to you, you helped me to realize what was special about me that made me unique, because I hadn't really focused on that before. And then you said, this is what's going to separate you from the other contestants.
Okay, so how have you used the things that you've learned through pageantry since then? What are some things that you've done? And I know that you've just recorded an album, so we really need to talk about that. So kind of walk us through some of the things that you've implemented.
So as soon as I finished competing and was done having my title, I went to school at North Texas and finished my degree in jazz studies, which I was very proud of myself. And it was very challenging and hard. It's very difficult. And I started off on my singing career after that, and mostly just trying to work and survive, figuring out how to do it. And I remember I saw you a few times, and you did help me, and you were giving me ideas and things like that. And I just said, even when I'm done with the pageants, this relationship continues of her motivating me and inspiring me.
Well, I always wanted you to record your own stuff. Actually, you did something that I have never seen a title holder do before. you sang an original song as part of your school program.
I did. I wrote a few songs for the school program that I thought kids might relate to and it could motivate them. Because my platform was never give up on your dreams, goals, and education. And when I had that opportunity to go into the schools, all types of schools, all demographics, all income levels, I felt like the music was something that they could all connect with.
Oh, absolutely.
And them having dreams and goals and not giving up on that, which means staying in school and finishing, doing the tough work, and possibly doing higher education in some way that was right for them. And I think that was so special to be able to share my story.
But then do it in your own words, like sing your own stuff. So I just knew you were going to go off and be famous right away. And obviously, that's just not how life goes, right? It takes time to become famous. But, okay, so how did you get to recording a Christian album? I'm not Christian. Christmas.
Yes. So I thought, something I could do for my friends and family is make a Christmas song every year. So I started making some Christmas songs and send it out as kind of like a holiday card. And I wanted to record a Christmas album, but I had to find a way to come up with the funds because recording is very expensive. I don't think a lot of people realize how much it costs. It is very expensive. You have to pay for, all the equipment, all the producers, all the musicians that come in and record on you, everything.
Background artists.
Yes, everything.
And then the artwork for the album, and then the marketing, and
so many things. So many things you have to pay for. So it took time. But I always love Christmas, and one of my albums that I love more than anything of all albums was the Mariah Carey Christmas album.
Oh, yes. I love that too. Yes.
It's just classic. And I was like, maybe I will record Christmas. But it was very challenging because when I had started recording that album, my biological father passed away. And I didn't have a great relationship with him. It was something that I never really got to fix. I really hoped and prayed that he would come around and we could, have a better relationship, but it didn't end up working. So there was a lot of bittersweet in that, remembering some of the good times, but also accepting the fact that things would never be the same. But it was a real blessing because it's an album that goes across different genres and different cultures. So multiculturalism is really important to me. And I feel like Christmas is done differently at different people's households. So the songs represent different cultures. There's even a song about Hanukkah on there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And then there's a song about my life, which is called Santa Bring Me a Man.
Okay, that's the cutest thing ever. And it's on YouTube. You have a YouTube video.
Yes, I do.
It is, or music video, and it is so cute. And I saw you post it on Facebook the other day and just kind of share it. And I immediately hit the share button, sent it to my daughter, and I was like, you need to listen to this. Shilah's recorded so good. So what's your future? What's your plan? And how do people find your album? Is it on Spotify? Can they buy it through iTunes?
My album is on every streaming platform.
Nice.
So you can go to, if you prefer, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, anything. It's on all of them. And I have my YouTube videos under Shilah Phillips under YouTube. And I also have a page on Facebook, Shilah Phillips Music. And I also have an Instagram page, Shilah Phillips. And I post all my videos and everything on there.
Very good. Yeah, follow Shilah. Follow Shilah for sure. Okay, so what's next?
So what's next for me? I had a little bit of a setback last year because I was thinking I would be recording a second album. And some things fell through with the budget. But slowly and surely, I am trying to get everything together to record a second album. So I'll be working on that.
Nice. Okay, so is this going to be an album that can be played all throughout the year, or is this going to be a second Christmas album?
This is going to be an album that can be played all throughout the year, and it's going to be inspirational.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about this, and I am right now, I've been thinking about you a lot lately, and I started to think back on some of the things you told me, because, sometimes I think, Heather, what's so important is that when you're talking to these students, when you're working with them, with all these people from all across the globe, all the information might not necessarily soak up in the moment.
Right.
but it might soak up a little bit later, or they will take some of the things they learned in their training with you, working on something specific, and they can apply it to their life even after their pageantry.
Oh, yeah.
So these lessons are valuable, and they are life lessons, the things that you teach, the way you teach people to go inside themselves and find what's different, what's unique, their story. That's one thing you and I worked on so much was, what is your story?
Oh, yeah.
If you're trying to be in the entertainment industry, you have to have a story.
Oh, you absolutely do.
You have to be in touch with it, and you have to be able to talk about it. And one thing that was hard for me was I didn't want to be vulnerable like that.
I remember.
I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to tell people the things that I'd been through. I was ashamed. I didn't think it was something to be proud of. But now I know that what you go through makes you stronger. It makes you stronger. Even though you went through pain, it helps you. Because you're still here fighting. And also people can relate to the struggles and the things that you went through. And maybe they'll say, hey, I've been going through some things too. And I relate to that. That touches me.
So did you write songs about your struggle?
I did. I wrote songs about my struggle. And I wrote songs about what we were just talking about. Like me knowing that I'm enough. Like God created me, and that's okay. The way he made me is okay. It's enough. So that's really what been my big theme for now. And I've always had a goal of reaching lots of people just to inspire them, because if there's anyone that felt the way that I felt and went through those types of struggles with themselves, then they need to realize that who they are, who they were born to be, is absolutely enough. It's enough. And it's hard to accept when you're growing up, and now we have so many social media things going on telling you should be this, you should be this.
Right.
But who you are inside, who you were made to be, is enough. Now, it's not easy to find that person. You have to do a lot of work, peel back a lot of layers like an onion.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's enough.
You mentioned the onion, and something that reminds me that when I think about, we are kind of like onions, right? But the outside layer of an onion you discard.
Yes.
Because it's actually not the most attractive or best layer. And I think if we look at ourselves that way, then we can say, okay, the outside layer that I spend so much time trying to make perfect is actually the least interesting thing about me. And the more that I peel it back, the more that I see, oh, wait, this is what's to be used. This is what's inside.
Yes.
It's so cool.
I was telling you a little bit earlier, I remember when you told me why you got involved in pageantry.
What did I tell you back then?
You told me, not why you got involved, but why you wanted to help young ladies and everything like that. You said that you were really accepted by the Miss Colorado organization.
Oh, yes.
And they took you in, and you were able to judge the competition. And you said that meant so much to you.
So for those who don't know, because this is a story that I don't really talk about a lot, but when I was very vulnerable with you guys, because I'd gotten pregnant with my son when I was in college. And so my dream of continuing to compete was just over. And I remember thinking, no one is going to accept me. Because this is back when, it really didn't happen a lot to people, or just wasn't people didn't celebrate that at all. And so I just thought, wow, this is just my whole entire life is going to end. And especially in pageantry, I wanted to run away. I wanted to hide. I wanted to just no one needed to hear from me ever again. And one of the board members in Miss Colorado Scholarship Organization called me and said, hey, the Miss Colorado Springs pageant's coming up. Do you want to compete? And I'm like, no, and it originally, they were asking me if I said I wasn't going to live there anymore. I wasn't eligible. I can't remember what I said. I said something like I wasn't going to be eligible. And they're like, and that was for Boulder. That's what it was. And I said, no, I'm not going to be eligible. I'm not going to live there anymore. And then they said, oh, well, Colorado Springs is coming up, because that's where I was going to be living. So I couldn't really use that excuse. And I said, well, I can't sign the contract anymore. And so I told her what was going on. And instead of really judging me, which is what my expectation was, she said, that's okay. You know what? How about you entertain at the Miss Boulder competition? I said, you want me to come and entertain? She goes, yes. And there's a judge's workshop that you can do. And we want you to judge. And I'm telling you, even to this day, it gets me, because Shilah, how dare. But it gets me because it was at a time when I was at my lowest and somebody gave me an opportunity. And I wanted to give back to an organization because originally I was only working in the Miss America organization. Now I work in all pageantry, but I wanted to give back to an organization that didn't see me as someone to discard, but someone to uplift. And you got me. And yeah, and so
I can barely hold it together hearing you talk about that again. I mean, it was so touching.
And it was just that was really my true motivation. Was I never want anyone to think that their mess is something that cannot be their message. And that's really what we talked about, is that we all go through things, we all make mistakes, we all have moments where it's difficult and it's hard. And my son is now 28 years old and he's doing amazing. And it was a very challenging few years of being a single mom, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And had this all not happened the way that it did, I wouldn't be involved in pageantry because I would have run away. But they didn't let me run away.
And you have inspired so many people. And for me personally, Heather, you are one of the biggest inspirations in my life. It's so hard. I mean, I can't help getting emotional, like hearing your stories, but it was also your passion for people, helping them. You didn't just want to help me when you wanted me to help me be a better person and have better self-esteem. And you did look at me and you told me that I was valuable and that I was enough and I had something special to offer. When I was struggling so hard to see that in myself, you gave me that. And it made me a better human being just to have someone do that. So what they offered you, you offered that to me, and it changed me.
You know, the thing is, like, I can't take credit for that. I can't take credit because when I think about what I do it because it's what God gave me to do. I'm not that cool by myself. I need the Lord to help me, and I think that everybody deserves an opportunity to know that they matter. And so the fact that I gave that to you at a time when you needed it most,
sorry, I can't even hold it together anymore.
No, you're good. That's so incredibly, I mean, it's rewarding to me because, you know, sometimes you move on in life, right? And so, and I get you because I'm totally doing this too. We're real people, everyone. So when you move on in life and you don't see someone for a while, and then you don't know if you made an impact or a difference. And so I think one of the things that I'm taking away from our conversation is also, like, make sure if someone has made an impact in your life, if they have been instrumental in helping you believe in yourself or accomplish your dreams or go for your goals, tell them. I don't care if it's been 19 years. No, but we've talked multiple times. So this isn't the first time. But at the end of the day, tell them, because they might not know. And it will help you too. And go buy Shilah's album. Go listen. And if you don't listen to Santa, Won't You Bring Me a Man, then you are missing out. That has got to be my favorite thing that I've listened to all year.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not kidding. And your video is hysterical. And so I hope Santa brings you a man if you don't have one right now.
I hope he does too. You know, everyone's been praying for me. We'll see. It's so funny in my song. It says, "I've gone to church. I've gone to the library. I've gone to the dog park. Santa, help me." So it's really funny, and it's I was able to write the songs on the album. Obviously, there's a cover of Mariah Carey, but they're very personal and they're funny. But you know, Christmas and the holidays is about love, and I think while we have the people we love in our life, or the people that we have left, we should really tell them that they matter. And it's not about the gifts you get. It's about showing up. Yeah. It's about being there, and it's about having an open heart. I know that all families are not easy to deal with, or relative to loved ones, but when they're gone, it makes an impact on you. And you remember the good times more than you remember the bad times. It's about family. It's about being there. Obviously, the most important thing is that, you know, Christ came to this earth, but we need to celebrate that through loving our family and being there, because it's about the family, and it's so important. And it's a time where we get to see people we haven't seen in a long time, years and years and years. It's a time where we can reconcile. It's a time where we can give love to all kinds of people. And we should let this spirit of Christmas resonate with us throughout there, not just at Christmas time.
Well, I think you should listen to Christmas music all year round. I don't think it should be just in, December. Let's just listen to it all the time.
Why not? It's a good message.
It's a good message. It's a feel-good message always. Thank you, Shilah, for being here.
Thank you so much.
You're such a blessing.
Everything you've done in my life.
Well, girl, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without you. I wouldn't. And I know that because and I'll give you one more moment of praise real quick. At your homecoming, Miss Texas homecoming, you made a statement from the stage about mental management and how much that helped you, and talked about my family and talked about, this was our first year to work with anyone. And then that's what opened up the opportunity for us to become a full sponsor for the Miss Texas organization. And without you being vocal about that, I wouldn't have clients. It wouldn't happen. So I owe you a lot, and I know that. And so I'm letting you know, I know that the Lord blessed you in my life, and I'm glad that he used me to bless you as well. So
it's such a blessing. When I think about the goodness of the Lord and how much you and your family helped me get out of that very low, dark place, I will never, ever forget you and your kindness. And I know that you have that kindness and you have that hope for every one of your students, that they can be better people, they can be better competitors, and that they will go on to live the life that they want. It's not just about this moment. It's about changing who you are and the way you see yourself. And you guys helped me to do that. And I just can't thank you enough. When I think about it, it just makes me so emotional because I have held on to those principles this whole time. And it's helped to get me through.
Well, I've been blessed by you. Everyone else will be blessed when they check out your album and then they play it for all their family. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.